All righty, let's call this meeting to order. I would like to call the August 13th, 2025 regular board meeting to order. Pursuant to board policy 1B.5, all meetings of Salisbury Township School District are audio and video recorded. Earlier this evening, we did have an executive session pertaining to personnel discussions. And with that, I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Gaither. Here. Mrs. Glenister.
Here.
Mr. Ganal.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mrs. Klinger.
Here.
Mrs. McKelvey.
Here.
Mrs. Nemitz.
Here.
Mr. Riccaboni.
Here.
Mr. Spinner.
Here.
All present.
All righty. Any special recognitions or presentations this evening?
Not this evening.
And we don't have any student representative reports yet, but hopefully our next meeting we should be having those. Any changes or additions to the agenda this evening?
No.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Citizen inquiries and comments pertaining to the agenda items tonight. I believe we have one for later on this evening. So we'll get back to that then. But any other, Jennifer, anything? Nope, okay. Can I have a motion to approve the following minutes? That would be the June 18th regular board meeting and the August 6th Ops and Finance Committee meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. We take payment of the bills. So this evening we have total general fund expenditure. We have food service, student activities fund, laptop fund, capital project fund, and 2 bond proceed funds. Can I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. All right, treasurer's report. That's what's up next.
We do not have the June on there because the audit's not completed, but as soon as the audit is done, the year-end treasurer report will be on there. What we have is the July. I also started a new capital breakdown for the land sale and the capital. As you can see, we finished out the year with $63,000 that growth on the land sale money. And then we started out this year, we have $1,449,000 in land sale and $316,000 towards the capital, which is the vehicle replacement plan. And as you can see on the June, we did fund the $100,000 for the year that we had budgeted for funding capital. That was put in there, and $29,000 was equipment sale for old mowers that we had sold and an old trailer, because last year we had replaced 2 new X-Marks. So that's what the $29,000 sale for there. And I went back to the old format since we're going to be going with the CSIU 5-year plan and year-end projection modules that they have in their dashboard. We're going to be looking at other districts to see what kind of formats they have. Everybody I spoke to uses an Excel, but some are a little prettier than others. So I'll be working on changing this up a little bit as we go, but they're both out there for your review. And as soon as the audit's done, I'll be putting June on.
All righty. Thank you very much on that. So can I have a motion to approve the July 2025 Treasurer's Report?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any questions? Comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. All righty then. So, report from the Secretary of the Board. That one gets stuck a lot, yeah.
Sorry. We've just been watching the governor's budget and the debates going on back and forth. A lot of discussions with other districts regarding their fund balance and some of them with lack of. We are in a good position. We are starting to get tax revenue in, so I don't believe we're going to have any financial issues or burdens. We are looking at certain things such as charter school bills. We had done this in the past when a budget wasn't approved. We calculated what portion of our revenue is local, state, and federal, and we only passed on the local portion or the federal, depending on what we were receiving or what was not receiving, because we don't want to pass on funds that we're not receiving ourselves as well. So I'll be discussing that with the board if we do need to go take that route, but we are watching the governor's budget process pretty closely to see how that shakes out.
And the latest update that I saw today from a professional organization was that they anticipate they'll be coming back together in the next few weeks to start over.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Really? Was that a joke? Was that a joke?
No.
It's not a joke. It means one side put up a budget and it was declined, and the other side is putting up a budget and anticipates it will be declined, and they will start over.
And there may be some common ground in both sides that they'll start off of, but it doesn't sound like there's too much of that.
And yet we have to pass ours every year by June 30th, right? Just reminding everybody how that works. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
All righty then. On that happy note, we'll kick it over to Ms. Klinger for our curriculum and technology portion of the evening.
Okay. Tonight, I'd like to move items 2.1 through 2.6. 2.1 is the affiliation agreement between Cedar Crest College and the district for 5 years. 2.2 is an agreement between IU 20 and our district to provide Title I equitable services to non-public students. 2.3 is a partnership between Keystone, Red Rock Job Corps, and our district to expand educational and training opportunities for our students. 2.4 is a contract with Lehigh Academy and our district, and 2.5 is a TSI, which is Targeted Support and Improvement Programs as early warning system for at-risk students. The plans for these TSI plans are due by the 31st of August. And 2.6 is the approved curriculums for UFly, which is a phonics program in the elementary school, the K-12 science curriculum, and the Learning Lab curriculum. May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
I have some, but if anybody else would like to go to first.
Go ahead, have it.
Okay, so I did have a few questions first about the TSI plan. Kelly, could you kind of fill us in? You know, there's a lot about Linkit in here. Could you just kind of expand on what that provides for us that we don't currently have and how this is an improvement over what we're already doing?
So with Linkit, we use, the state provides some benchmarking tools, classroom diagnostic tools. They're intended to be aligned to the Keystone measures, the Keystone State Assessment. Our teachers don't like them. They're time consuming. Because it's a diagnostic tool, especially kids who struggle, it takes a long time because it's going down and down and down to find their level. It's a computer adaptive test. And so it was very timely. Kids were frustrated. And so we looked for an alternative, a benchmark that we would like. Linkit provides benchmarks that are aligned to the Keystones. So in the plan where it references Linkit, there's two things that they're referencing. One is the benchmark. So we give the benchmarks in literature, the literature keystone, algebra keystone, and science, although this year we may not be giving science because science is a new test and we may be looking at something else. So that's one, and those provide kids with experiences of keystone-like questions. It gives teachers some data on some areas that kids can improve, and we give those benchmarks during the year, like a beginning, middle, and end. The other part of Linkit that we can utilize is we can actually create our own assessments in Linkit. So for example, the social studies department last year we have a civics assessment we have to give, and we were doing that in a Google Doc, and and it was fine. It did what we were complying with what we needed to do, but it wasn't very transparent. No, the social studies teachers at the high school wouldn't know how kids did. It doesn't stay with the kid's record, and what this does is it allows some transparency. So where we have it in there is we do have multiple teachers teaching the same class sometimes, so it allows us to create some common assessments so that we can look at student performance across different classes, different grade levels, and it gives them a little more transparency, especially if we want to intervene with students. So it's given us more timely information, and because Linkit has charts and graphs and things you can do, you're spending a lot less time, creating spreadsheets, and a lot more time actually doing something with the data.
Okay. All right, so there's some mentions in here about providing classroom support and coaching. Who is doing that?
We're hoping Patton will provide that support.
Okay.
Patton or the IU. We've been working at the middle school with a Patton consultant for mathematics who the teachers and the administration really like. We really value him. And we're looking at, we actually already set up a date for our first meeting with them. And our hope is if there's some need for some in-classroom support, he would be able to provide that support.
Okay, and then my final question on this is, it said, I didn't print this part out, but it said that one of the issues is that special ed teachers aren't always comfortable with math. I don't know if it's curriculum or how it was phrased. And then it talks about having math teachers participate in professional learning opportunities. Why aren't we including the special ed teachers in those as well, if they're the ones that are uncomfortable? Like, how are we addressing, I know that's not the predominant need, but
yeah.
In my mind, if the IEP subgroup is the problem group and the teachers of that subset aren't comfortable, how are we addressing that?
Well, we would be including them, and if that's not clear in there, that was an oversight on my part. We would be including them. It does get a little messy with special ed because they have other trainings and things that they have to participate in. We already have some goals on the table, but part of this is also including them in this process and providing some support around. But we have kids in co-taught classrooms, so when we're referencing it that way, and we did have discussion about this at our meetings, when we have co-taught classrooms, that's a special education teacher and a regular ed teacher working together, and that's where the most of our students are that we want to support. So they would be coming at this as a team.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. That clarifies, makes me feel better. The other thing I just wanted to mention is I'm not going to be voting yes on 2.6. The 7th grade curriculum for Learning Lab hasn't been finalized. We taught that class last year. So they've had, the decision to cancel Project Wonder and put in Learning Lab was made somewhere around 18 months ago. And I'm sorry, I don't find it acceptable that after 18 months we still don't have a finalized curriculum. I think it's a little fuzzy. There's nothing in the policy about doing some sort of in-betweeny, approval. And I really think it's problematic that we're continuing to teach subjects where we have not, finalized a curriculum. And I can't vote yes. I think that is not doing my job as a board member. I think that's doing a large disservice to the students. So I just wanted to mention that. Obviously, it's up to each board member, but it's not like this is a last-minute thing. They've had 18 months to get this together, and it's still not done.
And we did, the teacher was not available for revisions. It's not that it's not, it's 85% done. There were some revisions that I requested, and she just was not. She had other commitments this summer. I don't have access to teachers. It's at their discretion. So it is supposed to be an improvement over what we did last year. And it's revisions based on lessons learned and the direction that we want to go, and even looking at our data. I think that Learning Lab is something that we're going to be bringing to you frequently for revisions, because we want it to be, as we implement it, we want it to be meaningful to kids, and we want to use our data to say where are our areas of problem and concern. And hopefully those are going to shift as we do other planning things that we have. So I don't think that Learning Lab will ever be done. Like, I'd be surprised if we get to a point where we're like, oh yeah, this is good enough. We're going to want to keep looking at it. We also added defined STEM, which teachers, got access to July 1st. So I mean, I totally agree with you in the spirit of the way things should work. It's just there are some limitations on our end and how they do work when we have access to people.
And the reality is, Kelly could have made the revisions herself, right? But we don't create the curriculum. We invite our teachers who are teaching the course to develop it. So point taken, it should be done. It isn't. We understand if you need to vote no.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Tom. Is there anything that's missing, so to speak?
So one of the things that we wanted to have in there specifically are standards, are linking the standards. And this particular teacher is a newer teacher. This is the first time she's written curriculum. And she started doing that, but in the middle of the document, it got less clear about it. And so one of the reasons why we want to have teachers do it and not me do it is I want to make sure that my intentions and her intentions are the same thing. The other item was there is a pretty lengthy piece of that where it's science oriented. We do, in 7th grade, they do a whole unit on space, and they go on, it's very cool, they go on a NASA mission, and they do some very cool things. But I want to make sure that we're actually putting in the math elements that we want to have, and I want to be explicit about what they are. So she, like I said, she heard the feedback. She was very open to the feedback, and we are going to work on it as soon as she's available, but she just wasn't available before I had to put it on the board agenda.
And that's all fair, Kelly, and I'm glad that it's an iterative process, but it's not like this is replacing another curriculum. We don't have a curriculum for 7th grade yet. This is the first one. We've already taught the course. And the fact that she wasn't available, that's something that I feel that the leadership of the district, needed to clarify before the end of the school year. And if she wasn't available, then, you should have paid her 2 days after the school year ended to come in and finish it up, or you should have done it yourself, or you should have had one of the other Learning Lab teachers do it. The fact that the standards aren't even in there, it's really bothersome to me. And I think that, if this was a replacement curriculum, I'd probably feel a little bit differently, but it's not. It's the first one. And this course shouldn't have run last year at all because we didn't have a board-approved curriculum for it. And we changed the policy to try to address it, and it's still not done. And I find that very frustrating. And I don't mean to beat up on you,
Okay.
but yeah, it's painful to me, I guess, is what I want to say, because I feel like we're dropping the ball when it comes to being prepared for our students.
I think that you'll find that we made very few changes to the first unit, which is what we're going to be teaching next, which is coming up next. So I feel like we have time I made a choice that I could have done it, as Lynn said. I felt like that would not be a learning opportunity for the teacher. So I made a choice. We did work on it at the end of the year, and we did have a plan. Sometimes plans don't go according to plan. So I understand your concerns. Like I said, made a judgment call, and that's what we have. I think if you look at all of the curriculum we did. I would also say we are a very small district, and doing all of that this year has been a lot of work. And if this is our one misstep, it's the misstep.
And once again, I'm sympathetic to that, but you canceled Project Wonder and implemented this without, from what I can gather, and, you had kind of an idea of what you wanted to do, but you didn't have anything concrete. And so it seems to me like this is kind of a longer term lack of planning ahead, is what it looks like to me. I do have if the curriculum isn't complete, are we even allowed to vote on it? Do we run into legal problems there? Voting for a curriculum that's not, stated to be incomplete and lacking standards?
Well, the recommendation that I was making is we put it on the board, so we're very transparent about where we are, and that we bring it back in September after we've had a chance to make those final revisions, so that it would come back and the board would see it again.
Are we allowed to teach a course where we don't have a finalized curriculum?
Well, I would recommend that we would, sorry if you can't hear me, I would, really close. I would recommend that we would still vote on it tonight, because we do need something in place in the interim. So I understand your point of view, but if this is what the board's proposing, or the administration's proposing, it's what it's proposing.
All right, hold on, let me take a look at the board policy.
Is the expectation then that this will be completed ahead of the September meeting, and that nothing that would be taught in the interim between now and the September meeting is anything that's missing currently taking place after the September meeting?
I don't believe so. I can take another look at it to be sure, but no, I think, like I said, it was really just filling, curriculum documents are full of boxes. And, and we do that because we want to put enough breadcrumbs that if a teacher should leave, the new teacher coming in has a sense of where the plot is, to keep things moving. So I feel like there's some things they're missing that if another teacher came in, they wouldn't be able to follow the plot, or they wouldn't know what to emphasize. I think this teacher knows what we're emphasizing, and so I feel confident in what we're doing, but we don't have all the boxes ticked off to, that I would like to have.
So by the definition in the policy, the new policy, for the purposes of this policy, curriculum shall be defined as a series of planned instruction aligned with established academic standards. If we don't know what academic standards it's aligned with because it hasn't been defined, how is this even a curriculum?
The concepts are there, the numbers from the standards aren't there.
Okay, but by definition, it's not a curriculum. And once again, for a second year in a row, we're going to start a class with the same class with no curriculum.
Okay, I understand your point. I think it's fair. We need to finalize the curriculum. To be clear, we did offer to pay the teacher. To be clear, Kelly did sit one-on-one with the Learning Lab teachers who needed assistance with developing curriculum. I do not want this teacher to feel as though we are criticizing her. I am grateful for the work that she has done in developing this curriculum. I understand our teachers work 188 days, and beyond that, it's voluntary. So that is our issue, and if the expectation moving forward is that if a teacher's unable to complete it, administration does, and then we allow the teacher to make revisions and bring it back, we can certainly meet that expectation.
The expectation is that the curriculum is finished before we start teaching it.
I understand, Laura. You've been very clear.
I have no argument against the teacher. She's allowed to have a life, right? The fault doesn't lie with her. It lies with the management of the people.
Okay.
Tom?
Yeah, hearing the discussion, and, Laura, I kind of agree, but the thing I'm more concerned about is just the work process side of it. I mean, have you guys looked at this? Is there anything to, look at a timetable where you can be more proactive on it to make sure that we don't run into something similar like this again?
I think what we would do differently, in hindsight, is we delayed the decision on Project Wonder too long. Like we wanted to wait until the data came in. We wanted to get teachers at the table. We wanted to have a lot of discussion. So we started the process too late. And if we were going to, replace a class with another class, we would definitely do it differently, and we would start that process much earlier.
We also waited to start until we hired the teachers, and that is the biggest issue here.
Okay.
And we were visioning, and it was evolving as it went through the year. And this isn't a course that's, a progressional math course. It's different. We are building it differently. We are evaluating it because we want to build new math concepts into it. So I think Laura's point is fair. We are very clear. Kelly will work to get it finished. And, I understand the concern.
Since it sounds like we have some folks that don't agree with you, should we pull this one out separately?
Yeah, I'll handle that then.
Thanks, Joe.
Question, Kelly, when you talked, you said the curriculum would be evolving, so that if you set something in concrete, how do you go and evolve out of it? You have to come back for.
We'd have to bring it back. Yeah.
Start all over again. But if it's continuously, which would make the class better, I'm assuming, that's why you would do it.
Well, Learning Lab is like what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is actually much more complicated than if we had just, adopted something very canned. And we made a conscious choice not to do that. So we've made this much harder. But Learning Lab is looking at drawing from the experiences kids are having in all of their classes. So that means if there's a curriculum change in one of the other classes, then it may be reflected in Learning Lab because we may be shifting what we're doing. Our data may say, this is an area of focus we want to have. So we may say, oh, well, we need to revise this project, or maybe we need a new project because this is an area we want to focus on. I don't know that that's going to happen every year, but I suspect over time those things are going to surface, and things that we want to have the course reflect the needs and the interests of the students.
Well, it sounds like changing it could be much better for the students versus not. That's number one. So how does that get to Laura's point where I understand where she is, have it poured in concrete, it's done, this way it is, but how do you really go, how fast of a fly can you make changes if you need to make changes for the betterment of the course itself? And I'm trying to understand how you can have both and be successful, or one without the other.
I think if we're making subsequent changes, I don't see being as big as writing a full year course. Like, I think you're looking at a unit, and I think it's much more manageable when you're looking at units. This was 3 grade levels of content where we were getting the teachers on the same page. There was a lot of vertical alignment. There was a lot of working with their school teams, in their teams, to understand what's being taught across the board. So it's been a big learning process. I mean, I think I've been transparent about that, that it's been a big learning process, and we chose not to go with canned curriculum, so we made it harder.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments here? I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to talk. Sarah, go ahead.
Like a procedural question. So are we able to just pull the 7th grade Learning Lab out, table that one? And if we do that, what do they do for the first 3 weeks of school until we meet again? I'm looking at Kelly, not looking at you.
What if we pulled the first unit out and voted on that unit? I mean, we could vote the whole thing, and if it fails, then we could look at another option.
That would,
I'm trying to be mindful of the fact that we have kids coming in 10 days, and they need to be taught something until we meet again.
I understand that. I do want to say that I remember when I first joined the board, this happened that first August. There was all these things that had to be done right away, and it was left until the August meeting to vote on them. And then it was a panic, No, I'm just saying, but, we can't base our decision based on the fact that this is last minute, in my opinion.
I'm trying to make it a successful start of school for our students and our teachers.
Because
That's what I'm looking for.
I understand her point, because if we vote on it and it fails, it's the same thing as not voting on it at all. So question is, can we pull the section out that will be taught in the first section, the first part of the year that we know is established and finalized in the curriculum, and just vote on that?
It doesn't have it still doesn't have the standards in it, so it still runs into the exact same problem as the whole document. I would vote no either way. That's what I'm saying.
All right. So this is what we're going to do. Does anybody else have anything? Go ahead, Tom.
Just one quick question, policy related, right? So on the curriculum, is there anything that we can do? I mean, and you don't have to answer this now, but food for thought, suggestion, right? For stuff like this, is there anything we can do in our policies that would give us a little more flexibility for future in case something like this happens again? Where we retool a whole new course and we have issues with getting the curriculum done. I don't know, because like as Laura's saying, it's very specific in the policy of what it's supposed to be. Is there a way to develop a little more flexibility in it, so this way that if it comes into a situation like we're facing now, that there is a path or a work process to get us where we have to go?
It's a good thought. I think it's something we could look at. I don't think, I wouldn't expect anybody to have any answers on that.
I don't expect them to have a single answer on that one. That's all from the discussion that's just kind of popped into my mind. So I figured I'd throw it out there for food for thought or suggestions.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay. So
One more question. We will see this again next month? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So, hold on a second. I'm just procedurally, I'm trying to make sure we do this correctly, because this is what I'd like to happen at this point in time. I'd like us to vote on the motion, vote on 2.1 through 2.5. I'd like 2.6 to be a roll call vote. Since there's been it's moved and seconded, questions have been asked, and we want to adjust. What do we do now?
Well, you're going to vote first. You're not going to make an adjustment, correct?
Well, no. When I say adjustment, I mean adjustment to what we're voting on. Originally, we were voting on 2.1 to 2.6, and now we want to do 2.1 to 2.5 all as one, and then 2.6 as a roll call. But we have a motion on. So right now,
Okay.
as it would happen, if we voted, people would be, if they wanted to vote no, they'd have to vote no for everything.
Right. So we'll have Carol amend her motion to have it be 2.1 through 2.5, and then we'll go again and we'll do
Then I'll call the roll call vote.
second for that amendment to the motion, and then we will do the roll call for 2.6.
Question on 2.6, are we approving the U-Fly and the K-12?
We're voting on it all, on all of 2.6.
Oh, all of 2.6, okay. You're not pulling just that learning lab out.
No, that was not the recommendation.
No, unless the motion does not carry, then we will have to bifurcate
Okay,
the agenda item.
so we'll do that. So we'll vote as a whole, and then if we need to, we'll come back and bifurcate. So Carol, I'm going to ask you to amend your motion.
Yes, I will amend my motion that we're voting on, I'm moving 2.1 through 2.5.
Second.
And now I need a second,
I just gave you a second.
okay?
Okay.
Now, we shouldn't have any more.
Any more, is there any questions on 2.1 through 2.5?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to handle 2.6 if you don't mind. So I'm going to ask for a roll call vote last. Okay.
Make the motion?
Oh, okay. I'm going to move 2.6, our approval of curriculum. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Are there any questions? Further?
Need to understand, what are we exactly voting on in reference to the curriculum as is, even though it's not complete? Is that what we're saying?
Correct.
Yes, and even though it doesn't meet the definition established in the policy.
And there's also other things on 2.6 as well. U-Fly, science curriculum.
K-12.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Questions? Roll call.
Okay. Mr. Gaither.
Nay.
Mrs. Glenister.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Klinger.
Yes.
Mrs. McKelvey.
No.
Mrs. Nemitz.
Yes.
Mr. Riccaboni.
Yes.
Mr. Spinner.
No.
Mr. Ganal.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much for that exploration of procedural operations.
And just a final note, we are committed to getting that done as quickly as possible. And we will send it out when we have it finished.
All right, so that moves us to the next portion of the evening, Operations Committee. Mr. Spinner, can you take it over for us there?
Sure. So tonight, for the Operations Committee, we have 5 items. 3.1 is the updates to the per capita. 3.2 is the closing of the class of 2025 student account. Item 3.3 is the deed of dedication regards to trying to word it right, the 17 square feet that we're going to be deeding over for the town. And we have item 3.4, which is a conflict of interest waiver with King Spry. And 3.5 is the student transportation program for 25-26. At this point, I would like to move items 3.1 through 3.5 for approval.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm an aye as well. That's all I have.
All right, moving right along. Finance Committee, Mr. Riccaboni is now with us in live and in person, so I'll kick it over to you to take us there.
I don't have anything this week.
Okay. I saw that there was nothing listed, but I figured I'd give you the opportunity.
I drove all the way from Cape Cod after a flat fix, but I made it. I'm very sent Lynn the photo. It was bad.
All right. So that brings us to personnel. Mrs. McKelvey.
Yeah, so before I go through the list of things, I know that Lynn had wanted to make a comment about the hiring authority, so go for it.
Thank you. So as the board does extend hiring authority, we did extend an offer to a music teacher for the high school today. That offer will be on the board for approval next month because it did not hit that sunshine law 24 hours in advance. So the music teacher will be hiring, pending with board approval, will be John Zigafus. So we're really excited to have him start with us.
Excellent.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay, I'm going to go through these as quickly as I possibly can because there's many of them. So we do have a few resignations to start. An IA, a teacher, the swimming coach, which I'm sad about, and then the employment of a number of things. Most of these are IAs, but there are a few others, long-term subs, a couple teachers in there, and then a list of various coaches. I was actually discussing this with my daughter the other day, that not just our district, but every district, there's always kind of this churn of coaches. So it's not uncommon for us to be seeing some resigning and then others coming on. That's very common. We also are being requested to approve, sorry, my computer's having a moment, liaisons for the middle school, which are kind of go-betweens between the teachers and the administration, new teacher mentors, some game workers, and substitute additions and deletions. So I'm going to move items 5.1 to 5.25. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, before I open it up for comments, I just wanted to make two quick ones. First of all, Mackenzie Sikora is resigning as the swimming coach and she was coaching both the high school and the middle school teams the past few years, and she did a great job, and she really loved on those kids well, and I think we're all going to be sorry to see her go. I also was happy to see that Mrs. Knight, formerly of Western, is coming back to do a short-term elementary sub-stint. She was, my older two kiddos had her, and she was excellent with both of them. So I'm glad to see her returning, at least for a little bit.
We're also very appreciative.
Yeah. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to comment or questions on? Okay, so all in favor of 5.1 to 5.25?
Aye.
Okay, I'm also an aye. Any nays? All right. On to you, Becky.
All right, so, yep, policy committee.
Yes. We're approving for the final reading and adoption 2 policies, so I'm going to have a motion to approve policy 6B3 and 815.6. Second?
Second.
Anybody have questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. And then we have first reading on lots and lots of policies. So did anybody have any questions on those? We're working our way, slogging our way through all of them at the moment. Yeah, okay, sure. Like, hey, there are a lot fewer than we thought there were going to be even there, so we've dropped a few off there. But yes, no, it's interesting. I think it's good that we're doing this process, but it's going to take a while. Okay, I think that's all then. We're going to keep moving through them.
All righty. Thank you very much for that. So student activities report is that students are starting to come back. We have fall sports kicking off, so and our marching band feverishly working in the heat, and just the other evening, I was walking around the high school, and there was kids going in every which direction, and it was just good energy to see it back in the building. So it's an exciting time of year for sure, and there will be much more to report here in the coming months. So that's all I got. So that takes us to the report section of the evening, and that's kick us off with the CLIU, Mrs. McKelvey.
Yeah, just a few things. So both the June and July IU meeting happened since we met last. In June, we, had a presentation about, bless you. We had a presentation about graduations that the IU holds for students that are within their program. Some of those kids that are in the IU programs full-time, they're there full-time, and those are the students that they know, right, that aren't necessarily coming from Salisbury. So while they may participate in Salisbury's graduation, there's not a lot of connection there. So the IU runs their own graduations, and from Salisbury, we had 4 graduates this year from IU programs. There's a list here. It seems like we're kind of in line with other small districts, a little bit actually on the smaller side, which I think is a testament to, our focus on trying to get as many kids taught in-house as possible. So I am thankful that Salisbury has that as a focus. We also had our transportation director retire, and then the next meeting we hired a new one. So that's, the only big personnel shift. We also had a review of the CLIU organizational goals, which are kind of a corollary to the district goals that, the METs, unmets that Lynn has to do. They're a similar type of idea. So we had a presentation on those. A lot of that has to do with stakeholder engagement, clarifying a lot of the communication, both internal and external, budgeting and organizational priorities, and then, there's constantly looking to kind of shift the offerings of the IU to ensure that they're really meeting what the school districts are asking for, rather than being like, here's what we got, take it or leave it. I know that, the leadership is really trying to coordinate with the member districts to make sure that there's a match there. And that's about all that I have. There is an item on the agenda. Let me get back to that. So I am going to move item 8.2, which is a Title I Equitable Services Agreement for the 25-26 school year. So I'm asking that we approve the intergovernmental agreement between the CLIU and the town and the district to provide Title I equitable services for Salisbury Township School District students attending non-public schools effective the first day of instruction for the 25-26 school year and terminating on the last day of instruction for non-public school students for the 25-26 school year. Can I have a second? Does anyone have any questions about this? Okay. My brain just turned off.
All in favor?
All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
All right, so we do not have a representative from LTRIC this evening. Mr. Frank is not with us, so we'll move right on to LCTI and Mrs. Nemitz.
Okay, we have not met since the end of June, so I just have a few things to share. LCTI, in June, we approved the hiring of a new business administrator and an assistant business administrator, which is a new setup for the school. And we also finally approved the 23-24 audit. I can tell the extended version of that story sometime if anybody's interested. And a few fun facts. I love my fun facts. So in the 23-24 school year, there were 52 students involved in dual enrollment courses at LCTI. This past school year, the 24-25 school year, there were 198 students who enrolled in 29 different courses for a total of 437 courses taken. And last year, there were 156 students who worked co-op for a total of 71,000 hours during the school year, and those 156 students earned $1.15 million.
Wow.
So,
That's a good fact.
yeah, that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. So that takes us to PSBA legislative policy.
Yes, so just a couple of things. Also, I don't know, is anybody going to the convention in October? Like Sean Astin's going to be there from Lord of the Rings.
Really excited?
Well, maybe I.
Yes. I thought that might pique a few people's interest. Yes, I will not be there, but I was like, I just saw that. He's like the keynote speaker, so that's exciting. Little bit of fun there. There's a PSBA governing board, and they're looking for task force volunteers in terms of, I guess it's to review the current schedule, format, and timing of the conference. So I don't know if anybody's interested in that. You can talk to me if you are. They want to know by Friday if people are interested. Yeah. And there's also, I'm going to try and do this. It's one of those Engaging Differences Productively webinars on how to be an effective school board director during polarized times. Timely. August 20th from 12 to 1, so that's next week. I think you can still sign up for that. That's on Zoom. We talked about I was reading about and listening to the budget thing today, and, they said call your state reps and say, hey, how about doing your jobs? That might be a thought, Get on their case about that a little bit as school leaders. And I was curious, and I know we got a little bit of information on that, but they were also reading some articles about the fallout from the $6.8 billion school funding freeze, federally. I forget, how does that, maybe it's good for people to hear it again, how is that affecting us directly?
Well, we were actually in the process of submitting all of our grants, and we were on the last grant, and we were hitting submit, and the button was gone. And they just removed the grants. They've since put them back, But the problem is when they put them back, not all of the information that we'd already entered came with it. So we have to redo Title IV entirely. We have to do redo part of Title III. And because of the freeze, for example, the equitable services grants that are contracts, the agreements that you've just approved tonight, we'll have to redo those because we're transferring funds from Title II and IV into Title I. So once those are finished, then I have to redo the agreements because non-public gets a portion of those transferred funds. So then we have to redo them. So it's created a lot of extra work. And for the state as well. The state people today we just had a technical assistance call today, and they were clarifying procedures. So it's a problem.
I think it's important for voters to understand that this is what's going on right now, and that it's creating more work for people whose salary we pay for with taxes, for example, Just, I figured it wasn't positive, but no.
It's better than the alternative, which the alternative would have been that they would have declined to give the funds back. So the fact that we have access to the funds is positive. So I guess most of Title III was there and they put it back. So, we're grateful we didn't lose all of the work we did.
It's been on and off too, right? Like there were times where you didn't, yeah.
Where we didn't know, you mean like where we were in limbo? Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we're still hoping some of the other funding sources aren't going to be affected, like community eligibility provision, for example. We do use that for all of our students to have free lunch and as well as free breakfast. So, we're still watching that very closely.
Still to be determined. You don't know yet?
It's rumored that they may be pulling some of it back from the states.
Yeah.
Meaning the states are going to have to backfill.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. Thank you.
You are just a ray of sunshine, aren't you?
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So that takes us to
See Sam Austin. That'll be fun.
Sean Austin?
Or Sean Austin, sorry.
Sean Astin, yeah, Sean Astin.
I was reading the name of his character.
This is Dad. Mom's Patty. I can't remember.
I don't know, he was in Goonies, that's the biggest.
John Astin, yeah. John.
And Encino Man.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to break out the gavel here in a second here. All right, so that takes us to our solicitor's report.
I have no report.
All right, thank you very much. And with that, we'll take us to our superintendent's report.
All right, I have a handful of items. First, a quick thank you to our staff who worked on summer programs, who worked on curriculum, who worked on special projects, who worked on anything from class rostering to ESY and a variety of other items. To all those kids and families who committed to participating, to Kelly for her leadership in developing it, everything from starting the brainstorm to getting the Da Vinci mobile lab here for the last week to help increase in attendance in the last week of the program. Our school leaders gearing up for the year, our support staff, the enrollments are just, continue to fly in. If you've been around the district, you've seen all the laptops and iPads being reformatted and distributed. We just replaced copiers and added some additional filtering, so there's a lot going on there. And also to our facility staff are working hard to get things ready, even when, we have so many contractors around this summer doing projects. If you haven't yet seen, there's a nice article in the Salisbury Press about the facilities and the work that Bill's team has done, so take a look at that.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Sure.
I just wanted to say, since we have a family member who is a consumer of ESY, I am just always astounded at what a great job that the teachers do in this district. We used to send our kids to IU-based ESY, and then we brought it in-house, and it's just been phenomenal. And I'm so appreciative, especially of Beth and Missy, who coordinate that a lot of the time, at least in the groups that Lucas is in. And I just wanted to kind of call them out as, just really good examples of quality teaching. So
Can I interrupt as well, too? Since we're on the realm of thank yous, I'd also like to thank all of our coaches, food service people, janitorial staff that are coming before the school year. Make sure that our kids can get ready for their fall sports. The kids spend a lot of time in the high school, here, middle school, before the school year even starts, and there's a lot of people that have to be in those buildings to make sure that everything happens correctly, safely, and everybody has a good experience. And a lot of times the reason they're there is just because they care. So I just big thank you to all those people that spend a lot of time, from cleaning up after us, feeding us, to making sure that the fields are scheduled properly. So to all those people that work with Sarah Oswald, and including Sarah, and all the people that work on our janitorial staff, a big thank you, because you have to do a lot of work to make sure it goes right.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Laura, for the ESY compliment as well. Certainly takes a lot of teachers, and also our administrative, our instructional assistants, and also Tracy and Mike, who coordinate it and are there for every session. So appreciate that feedback. Just wanted to highlight our graduation rates, because this has been an area of community concern. So we did publish these in the special edition of the community update for graduation, but you can see here our 24-25 year, 4-year cohort. These are the kids who entered 4 years ago and should have graduated in 4 years, was 85.6%. We have 10 out of 17 of those students who did not graduate received special education services, and there were a handful of dropouts. 24-25 5-year cohort, these are the kids that took an extra year to graduate, 92%. And just keep in mind that, you know, a couple of students really matters in our percentage because we're small. And then the 6-year, 87%. We had students who have dropped out there, and additionally 7 students who did graduate in year 5. One of the documents that you approved tonight was the Job Corps proposal with Red Rock. By creating that proposal and that official partnership, I don't think it's called an MOU, but partnership agreement, that will allow us to mark students who go into the Job Corps and successfully complete the program as graduated. So currently, they would not be counted as graduates, even though they went into the Job Corps and successfully completed a program. So as we were investigating what else can we do, that is something that we brought to you. We will be publishing our Falcon Proud Days, again, in the newsletter coming out in September. This past school year, I presented at the Patent Improving Schools Conference with our IU colleague. Kelly co-presented what do teacher leaders want their principals to know at the PA Edge Conference. You should have seen our August community update. We sent that out a variety of ways. Looking forward to coming back to school here Monday, August 25th for orientation, and then everyone will be back on Tuesday. Just a reminder, we sent this out, the alumni. I don't know what's happening. We sent that out through the Salisbury Township as well as our own messaging system. So if you have any applications, feel free to send them our way. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. So it takes us to Section 9, new business. Any new business?
Quick question. I heard through the grapevine, Keystone scores came back. Is that true?
Preliminary scores came back
Okay.
at the end of July, and we do have them.
Okay. And any way we can take a peek?
Well, I really like to wait until official scores come out, but yeah, we have.
I won't hold you to it.
Yeah, we have. We have the breakdown of how we did.
Okay. Yeah.
We haven't fully. Teachers aren't back, so we haven't looked at it as deeply.
That's fine.
I like to have all.
I understand, but if there's anything you could clue me in on, I would appreciate. How interested I am in that. So thank you.
All right. Well, that takes us to the citizen inquiries and comments portion of the evening. I know we have one. Mr. Engel, if you'd like to come up to the mic and share your thoughts, I'd appreciate it.
I guess my first question is, who's Sean Astin?
Did you ever see the movie Goonies?
Yeah.
All right, anyway, that's, that's how.
Yeah.
So I guess I have two cost-saving suggestions. Just recalling the budget going back a while ago, and no offense to the legal profession, but lawyers are expensive, and just as a way of, and I understand that this time was really bad because you had 4 expiring labor contracts all come at once. But I just as a thought is looking at ways of avoiding legal expenses by doing things. I understand if it's a Pennsylvania Labor Relations Board hearing, you need a lawyer. If it's a wrongful termination, you need a lawyer. The school code is really, it is what it is, right? But if there's a way of, but for instance, labor negotiations, you don't necessarily have to be a lawyer to conduct labor negotiations. Maybe looking at things of cutting down legal costs in terms of figuring out ways, no offense to lawyers, but just figuring out a way of doing things without accessing a lawyer. The second thing I have is, and I understand it's important from the accounts receivable function to get money that of owed money, and it's more of a concern, maybe a suggestion, but I have a concern of when somebody I know had an issue with, very upset with an issue with Portnoy, or what is the debt collecting company. Portnoy, that apparently he took a picture of his house, and he was, and a lot of people that they want to pay taxes, they're not deadbeats. They're not deadbeats. They just can't afford it, and so he was upset about that. And if there's a way, I don't know if with your staff, there's a way of handling some of the accounts receivable in-house instead of, and working on installment plans and stuff in-house instead of maybe having an outside debt collector resort to those what he called mafia tactics. So, and that's all I have. So.
Thank you, Dennis. And I would encourage your, I believe you said friend, to reach out to the business office and call Dawn Nickisher. You can find her name on the website, or feel free to call the office and we'll get your friend hooked up. Thank you. And I would say that to any taxpayer. If you have a concern, please don't hesitate to call.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so that takes us, there's a whole host of other reports here for you to read over at your on your own time. And that takes us to our upcoming meetings. Would be Ops and Finance, Wednesday, September 10th. Executive session we'll have as well on Wednesday, September 17th. And then we'll have Curriculum Technology followed by the regular board meeting Wednesday, September 17th at 7 o'clock. Without any other comments, I'll consider us adjourned.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.